.6625. That is reflective on page 1 of your budget workbook and page 2. We do have a few changes for the board's consideration, but before I go to that, the last meeting voted to increase some revenue sources, and those have to be done by resolution if you're adding to one that's already existing. So I have 2 of those for you. I think you have those copies in front of you. The first resolution is to increase additional cash carry forward in the tourist development fund. And if the board would entertain a motion to approve and ratify this resolution. You already approved to allow it, but it has to be done by resolution.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by Mr. Yeager. Second by Mr. Mike Daniel. Do I have any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries 5-1. 5-0. I'm sorry.
The other one that you also discussed, you discussed increasing your culvert permit fees. I think going up from $25 to $50. That would not increasing much, but you know, $700 more of revenue. So again, it has to be done by resolution. And Mr. Danford had budgeted for his vehicle, but we didn't budget for the cash to be carried forward. You know, he sold those dump trucks and he had a little bit left over, and that's $27,713. So you have that resolution in front of you. You already voted on it in the last meeting, but this resolution is to just follow proper procedure, and we have to follow to increase revenues what they're originally. So if you would entertain a motion for this resolution, I'd appreciate it.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by Mr. Yeager, second by Mr. Mike Lamore. Do I have any opposed? Do I have any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries 5-0.
And I would say that those resolutions are reflected in your updated budget packet. I do have a few things that for the board's consideration. You advised us to look at the sheriff's budget and make sure we had him fully covered on his retirement. We have met with him and his staff and Lynn, and we have determined that we need an increase in his budget of $27,889. I stand corrected if Sherry kicks me. She'll tell me what the right number is. $27,889.
So moved, Mr. Chair. Most of that's retirement.
Motion by Mr. Yeager, second by Mr. Mike Lamore. Do I have any opposed? Do I have any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the other one, you took away some money for under the Health Care Responsibility Act, HCRA, and I think it was around $12,000. And in reviewing a little bit that was still left there, it was $1,368. We went back and saw, you know, you've been budgeting for it for several years, but you've not been giving it out, dispersing it anyway. And the last time you gave that amount of money was to Bay Cares. You haven't done that since 2009, and you voted last week not to fund that agency. So obviously that $1,368 was in there duplicate. So if the board wishes, you can take that $1,368 out as well.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
A motion by Mr. Yeager, second by Mr. Mike Daniel. Do I have any opposed? Do I have any opposed? No opposed. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. We also have a correction that needs to be made to the property appraiser's budget. He had a revision by the Department of Revenue that increased his amount by $893, and also in reviewing his insurance obligation for his employees, it was short $2,925. So he needs a total of $3,818 increase in his budget.
$3,800.
Could you
Um,
explain that again, please?
I think when his budget was originally presented, it was based off what was approved by Department of Revenue, which is what the board is supposed to fund, but they came back and found that there was a little addition error in it, and they revised it, and we didn't have that in the first pack. And that was my discussion with Appraiser Burke yesterday. He also checked on his insurance with Lynn and Elaine in my office and found that there was a calculation error in the insurance proposal on that.
I normally provide those numbers for the insurance, and there was an employee that was left out in his original proposal.
So moved to cover.
Got a motion by Mr. Yeager,
Second.
second by Ms. Bryant. Do I have any opposed? Do I have any opposed? No opposed, motion carries 5-0.
And you know how the clerk's office and our finance department are bean counters. And we try to make sure everything lines up really good. But we made our adjustments, but in this book, and this is my fault, not Sherry's, I forgot to make a correction to the St. Joe Fire District. It was only $2, but it's a transfer, the one for the fire coordinator. So just so you have that, and if you will allow me permission to change your book for that $2, I'd appreciate it.
You need a motion to that, Becky, or
You can
just...
go ahead and do one. That's great.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Yeager,
Second.
second by Mr. McDaniels. Do I have any opposed? Do I have any opposed? No opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I have another one of those little small dollar ones, but I don't know the name of the department, but it's a grant under Org 33022. It's a grant that actually has change with it, and we rounded down instead of rounded up, so I need to add $1 to the budget on that one.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion by Mr. Yeager,
Second.
second by Ms. Bryant. Do I have any opposed? No opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Sherry's happy we got our dollar fixed. The only other thing that I have is to remind you that, you know, we do have to set our public hearing, our first public hearing. The school board has set theirs, and, you know, you cannot have it on the day that they are, and theirs is Monday, September the 9th, which would leave you the 10th. But, you know, before we set that, we need to determine what your tentative millage rate is, but that's just for your information. And the last thing that I have that I'll just bring to your attention is your Downtown Redevelopment Agency, your CRA, can be reduced based on where you're at today with this budget by $11,926. Now that, considering you don't go up any, which you just did, so unless you're going to come down a little bit, we might want to wait to reduce that until the end. And
Remind us to reduce that.
but right now, before you made these increases, you could have reduced right at $12,000 for that obligation. That's all I have.
Mr. Chair, I think there's not a lot to do there on budget. We've gone through the entire budget last week. Rate changes. There's some additional, I would hope at some point in time, as we get the numbers, there'll be some additional revenue. Hopefully, we went from $40 a ton starting October 1st to $60 a ton, and we've already made a change. That's Beach Waste, and they're paying for the landfill. At some point in time, we'll figure out what those numbers are, which should be to our advantage, not to our disadvantage. I think the main thing is we need to determine what the millage rate, unless the board wants to continue, this is less than a mill increase. If the board has other places you desire to look at and make changes, you know, we can talk about those, unless the board wants to go through each one of these lines again.
Don, so you're saying what we cut the last meeting, we've got an increase of almost $1 million.
That's right.
And the only way to reduce that would be go through part of it again or find additional sources of revenue. I don't know if everybody's ready to go through it again. We've already been through it one time extensively, line item by line item. I am uncomfortable with raising nearly $1 million of property tax. I mean, I'm just a little bit uncomfortable with that. But at the end of the day, we have reduced our spending for the last 5 or 6 years to the point to where we've got to have some new vans. The sheriff's got to have some new equipment. So I think at the end of the day, I'm going to have to just educate my public to say, here's where we're at after 5 or 6 years of cuts, and we've got to get back to providing the services that we need to provide. So I don't know if anybody's got any more ideas. It's hard to give them all mine, and I think alternative sources of revenue was one, but it doesn't seem like that we want to go through some of those processes. Any other board members got?
I think on that one issue there on the fuel tax, if it's not the desire of the board to move forward, the reason for that position paper you got, go to work yesterday morning working on that, that was because of the vote last week to start going down that route. If the board wants to go ahead and undo fuel tax, that'll save us some potential work in the future. There's no point in working on it if we're not going to do it.
Again, my argument on the fuel tax is as long as you put it on the ad valorem, the monies that you did, and you put them on taking off the ad valorem, I support it because it's a 1.6 or 7% increase. If the family spends $1,000 a year, it's like 16 or 17 bucks. The way I figure it, and it goes a long way to the tourists that come to our community to help, supplement the ad valorem budget. Now, I don't know that this is a good time. I know I've had calls and emails too, just like everybody else, which, we need to be educators up here too, to educate some of the calls that we get. And I try to do some of that, but I don't know if the will of the board is to move forward with that, or just leave it on the back of the taxpayers right now. But I'm always looking for alternative sources of revenue as long as we're taking what we take in with that alternative source and taking it off the ad valorem. So that's where I'm at.
Mr. Chairman. Okay. I'm fine with Commissioner Yeager here. I'm a taxpayer in this county. I sat down and with the proposed millage that we had, my taxes were going to go up probably around $600 a year. From this meeting, our last meeting, it's been trimmed down. We went from 7.5, we're down to what now?
6625.
Yeah, 6.625. So we're down to 0.9 increase, 0.9. That's still, to me, I wish we could have just passed the same millage we had last year, or we're closing out now at September the 30th. But I've had a lot of calls about this. Again, as I explained in the regular meeting, on this gas, it was just something to explore, how to try to lower this 0.9 down. And I've got a lot of, most of the people that's called me, and a lot of the small business people, and I'll use these wooders that they own their old truck out there, they're trying to haul a log, they barely get up before daylight, working after dark, trying to make a living. Their fuel will go up, but yet their paycheck doesn't go up any. And usually when you ride into a town, I know the first thing you see is when you ride in any community, you look at their gas sign, see what their gas is. And it's shocking to me, and all of you do it, and I do it too. I'm in Panama City when I can buy it 30 cents a gallon cheaper in Panama City, and I can't rule a Hitchcock. Well, if I'm going to be a good businessman and manager of my money, I'm going to buy it over there. And I know it takes away from this county, but I got to look out after me too, because I have a budget I have to live by and go on. And why we looked yesterday, I met with Mr. Butler, and it's obvious you can be ignorant to facts. And the fact is that Gulf County and Bay County pay identical. If I'm correct, the county tax is identical the same in Gulf. Now, I don't know if the distributors are just charging more over here, or the businesses are charging more. That I don't know. But Gulf County and Bay County is the same. It's the same. Another thing on this tax. Again, Mr. Butler and I spent time yesterday looking over this. A minority of the counties implement this additional tax. It could be from 1 to 5. 5 is the max, is that correct?
Yes.
1 to 5. The minority of the counties actually implement this, and they don't. And then it's got a lot of restrictions to it, too, as we were discussing yesterday, looking over what you can use it for. You can't use it to offset grass mowing. You can't use it to offset fixing potholes. It's got a lot of restrictions to it. So, having said that, if, Mr. Attorney, would a motion be in order?
It would be. There was action taken last week at the budget hearing.
I'm going to let's withdraw that.
And at this point,
Kill this issue.
as Mr. Butler said,
We have to go up a point on
this
this
time.
on the taxpayers. I want to do that. It's going up on me, but there's so many people out there just says no, no, no. So you got to listen to the people. Listen to the people.
Do we have anything else from the board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting a motion on the floor that we just drop this. We just kill this 5-cent gas tax.
Got a motion by Mr. Mike Daniels, got a second for discussion. I want
Oh, go ahead.
I want to speak on gas tax. And I want everybody to kind of really listen to me and see where I'm coming from. When we had, I'm finna go back into the days, when we had St. Joe Paper Company, Arizona Chemical, all those companies pushing it, we did not have this problem. We was an industrial town, and that's what we ran on. Well, along the line, somebody changed our tune and said we're going to be a tourist town. Now, we got a choice, people. We can either pay for it or try to put a little bit of it on the tourists that's coming in here that they said that we're going to be a tourist town. I'm not saying put everything on the tourists, but we got a choice here. I mean, this budget is really getting hard to fix when you don't have enough money. We got to make some changes. Don't nobody want to raise taxes, true. Don't nobody want to put nothing on the gas tax, true. Don't nobody want to do nothing to bring in new revenue. But we're supposed to continue to do the same thing that we're doing. It's not going to work. And I understand the people talking about they don't want the sales tax, and I don't understand why gas got to be so much higher in St. Joe than it is in Panama City. But I understand this much. We don't have the money, folks. It's that simple. Sheriff running on cars right now, allowed to break down on it. If it wasn't for our inmates, this county would really be in a jam. And our vans that our inmates is driving in is about to fall apart. So now how are we going to get these guys to the place to do work if they don't have a van? How are we going to get the van if we don't have the money? Something got to give. Don't nobody want to hear this part of it. You know, something's got to give. So now either we're going to go look for some revenue on the tourists, since they said we're a tourist side. We got to look at what the tourists is doing in St. Joe. Can we receive some revenue from that direction? Because we don't have industrial no more. And until we get something going on right here, tourists is what we got. All taxes. I recommend if we're going to raise any kind of taxes or something, let's fix it where everybody could pay a little bit, for as the tourists and the people, the residents of Gulf County, than just putting it all on the residents of Gulf County. So that's my bid on it right there. I know we're in a jam. I sit back and I listen to the guys work on it. They're working hard on trying to fix it out. These guys is working really hard on trying to figure this out. But it don't take a rocket scientist to realize if you ain't got enough money. Keep back down to money. We just don't have enough, and we got to come up with some type of revenue source to bring in towards this county to help out. So I just throw that on the table. I want everybody to understand that we're not just raising gas taxes to raise it. We're not putting fees on this just to raise it. We're not putting fees in the landfill just to raise them. We got serious problems, guys. And if we don't address these problems now, in the future, we're going to have, the problem going to be a whole lot worse. than what they is. So let's make some tough decisions right now.
I know there's a motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman, but there is other sources. We can look at, what is it, MSBU, MSTU, different ways to try to generate a little and take from the taxpayers. But this gas tax is just not very popular with the voters, I'll tell you, and it's not popular. I hadn't got any positive comment on it. Everything's been negative coming my way. I can't speak for these other commissioners because I have not discussed it with them. I can't.
There's lots of things is, the voters is disappointed with. When we tell them that we can't deliver the dirt to them like we used to, when we tell them that we can't pick up the trash on the side of the road like we used to, when we tell them that they can't go to the landfill without paying and dumping off. So there's lots of things that the voters are going to be disappointed with because we haven't changed a little bit.
Well, they have a lot of entitlement. They'll just have to accept the burden along with us. We have to make cuts. They're going to have to pick up a lot of what we've got is become entitlements here. And I know used to, we had 6 dump trucks, 3 of them was hauling for dirt delivered individually. We got rid of those 3. We still getting by good. So they've adjusted to that. We may have to adjust this, and it's in the works with this garbage, with the pickup and all. Yes, we're gonna come back a little, but I just want to make that comment. I think we need to pull this. I put the motion on the floor. We got a second.
I got a motion by Mr. McLemore.
You seconded him, Mr. McLemore.
I got a second by Mr.
And I would like to comment, the gas tax can really put the burden on our businesses here, and the tourists are only here a certain time of the year. They're not here year-round. I would argue that an increase in the property tax is also paid by the tourists because the people who rent to the tourists, their property taxes go up. They have to pass that on to their customer. So it affects everyone. I'm not in favor of raising the property taxes, and I think that we need raising the millage. I think we need to try to work at lowering that increase that we have. I don't have the answers, but I think that we need to work at it. I don't know that the gas tax is the solution because I'm afraid that it will have too heavy of an impact on the local businesses without benefiting us to set it off. And my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Morris, we set the proposed millage, we can lower it, we just can't increase it. That's correct. And I think that we need to find some solutions and get that millage down. It seems to me, and I may have the wrong perception, but it seems to me that the property values have begun to stabilize. They're not going down. We have some new properties in our tax base with the new CVS, the $2 Generals, and the ice company, the ice machine company. And I think that we should be able to get to a point where we keep the millage the same or a very, very slight increase if we have to, but I really am opposed to an increase. But I'm opposed to the gas tax as well.
One other thing.
I'll interject just on that one topic, just because Gulf County does not get 1 cent from any of those businesses that just came in, because 100% of the money generated from all those businesses goes to the DRA. So, I mean, that's the problem when the growth comes, and it comes in the downtown redevelopment area, whether it's Marina Cove or wherever the dollar store is, or on First Street, anything from 5th Street basically to the old mill site, 100% of that goes to the DRA. So that's the problem. When it generates and when the growth comes, as it will, whether it's Ronnie B's or any of those places, the CVS, all of that goes to fund the DRA, and none of it goes to fund county operations. So, I mean, and we discussed that in our hearings.
I got a motion on the floor, Mr. Mike Daniels. I got a second by Mr. McLemore. Do I have any opposed?
You know, I guess in the spirit of trying to work together and try to figure out some other alternative sources of revenue, I'll go along with the rest of the board here. But we have, number one, we talked about, not for an increase in the millage, but we've got $250,000 increases in some line items. We have some increases of over $100,000 in line items. You can't continue to get those mandates from the state, which one of them's Medicaid, which actually came down this year, but it's going back up. You know, and you know, it's our insurances. All those costs, along with our fuel, is going up. You can't maintain that millage rate when you have those kinds of increases. And I think at the end of the day, I hear everybody, and I don't want to raise the millage rate either, because you talk about people complaining about the gas tax. You wait till you tell them you're fixing to put a mill on their property taxes and see what kind of phone calls you get. So I mean, it's you know, it's something that we got to continue to work on. We don't have a lot longer to work on it. So I mean, we've got to get to work and see if we can't do a little better than where we're at. That's all I got to say.
Do I have any opposed? No opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, any particular area of the budget you want to go to and look at, or?
Don, I know that you know, I look at the revenue side. I know we increased the landfill fees by $20 a ton. Did we increase the revenues at all?
We haven't, Mr. Yeager, we're working with Mr. Danford. He's still working on those numbers, but once he gets that, then we will increase it.
Okay.
But unless you have another meeting in a day or two and he has that number, it'll probably be public hearing.
Yeah. Okay.
We got some other things. At some point in time, Houston can help out with these numbers. Dry run fees, the EMS run fees, if there's any need to modify those. Building fees, we're looking to see if we need to increase those to stay where we are and move up.
Don, I think on both of those, the key is let's do a little research on what the other counties are charging for those services.
That's right.
And if we're way low, then that's something that we need to address.
And the beach driving fees, that's something you've already done. I think we're not yet to, even though you're going from 15 to 30, it doesn't necessarily you're going to double the revenue there, and you went from 150 to 200, and we'll maybe in time figure out what that'll be, and that can be at a future budget workshop.
Right, and Shirley's back in the audience now, Ms. Jenkins, as the tax collector. But we've talked about this before, but we're talking about increasing the fees, and we're also talking about trying to sell those permits like we used to at some of the outlets. That could increase some of the fees to offset the sheriff's budget. Is that something that we think we can work towards and get accomplished?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, great. So we'll work with an attorney and work together and figure that one out.
Barry, I'd just like everybody to know, you know, the way I look at things is if we can do it, let's do it. But if we can't do it, ain't no need of sitting here trying to push ourselves further in the ground. We're trying to do something that we all know that we can't do. And I mean, when you got Miss Becky looking for another employee, you got Miss Shirley just took on a whole nother, the driving department, she just took on that whole thing. So everybody is pulling together, trying to get us through this. So, like I said, guys, if you can't do it, we can't do it. You know, some things we just can't do. Ain't no need of sitting here trying to bust our heads wide open when we know what needs to be done. And we know what it's going to take to get the job done. It's just that simple.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask a question on this, too. It's all about numbers, about money, it's about management. Running this county government's no different than running our households. Some prosper, some hold, some collapse, and I don't want to see us collapse. But in our money, Ms. Norris or Ms. Herring might could help us with this. Are any of I have two here, and I'm using these, and I got these yesterday. But is anybody in the red? Is everybody pretty much on projection from the budget last year? Now, I won't even call this out. Here's one where it has, we've got what, August and September to go. We've got 60 days in this budget before we go into a new budget. And we'd allocated like, say, $385,000. We've only used so far $236, which gives us a surplus still available of $150,000. So this tells me that this particular department at all area is in good shape, unless some catastrophic something happens. They're going to finish out these next 2 months and have some reserve money. Also, here's another one that's at say 71,000, and it's at 53.5. So it's going to be in the red. And the way I'm looking at all this, what's been projected, it's going to come out okay. Are we all right where we're at now?
We haven't done an
I
analysis.
need to know what
on
kind of
each
money we
one,
got left.
But typically, most departments wait until the summer to buy their supplies and any equipment they need. You'll see that increase, but just because September 30th gets here doesn't mean you're going to have a drop dead amount of what that budget has available, because it goes on for outstanding payables. And
I understand that.
You know, unless a department tells us otherwise, we somewhat project that they'll spend at least all of their budget. And, you know, they get pretty close, but you know, your payrolls run a little behind because you're not paid in advance or you're not paid, you know, right on time. So we do, you know, project that most will spend unless they tell us otherwise. And then we look at the revenues and project, are we collecting what we thought we were going to collect?
My philosophy on that is this, I know, well, you better spend it, or they'll cut you. Well, I'd rather reward someone for returning a little bit and living and managing than just going out and say, well, we got to get rid of this money. I don't like that kind of business. I hope that's not taking place within our departments here. If it's something we need, we get it, but just go spend to be spending on taxpayers' money.
Becky, let me, and this is a last resort for me. But at the end of the day, we cash carry forward $2 million to start the operation because the monies don't come in and all those kinds of things. At the end of the day, we could probably reduce that and help this number go down. And it's a reserve that we've had for a long time. We've also got reserve for contingencies, and I hate to use that in a year because the next year is going to affect you too. But I mean, would you think that we can operate off 1.5 in that cash carry forward?
I think it's probably doable. I mean, you know, it's the board's wishes on that, but you know, you do have 2 months that you don't have tax revenues
Right.
coming in, but you do have your reserves and your restrictions that, I guess, for lack of a better word to say, float you on. Get your tax base come in.
Mr. Chairman, well, at the end of the day, we don't need to raise a mill of property taxes either. And I think over what I've seen in some of the other counties that they have used their reserves in these tough times. And I don't want to kill the reserve, but I want a real number that we can survive on. We've got some reserve for contingencies that's over and beyond that cash carry forward number. So I think at the end of the day, when do we need to have another meeting? Because we don't have long.
Yeah, we basically have determined that we need to get a number to the property appraiser by August the 1st because of the weekend.
Again, and I'm going to go. Our neighbors over, Commissioner, Chairman over in Bay County, Dana, you recall back, and this came up in our regular meeting today, they got their BP, portion of it, and the chairman over there said point blank, we're going to use that money all set. We'll worry about the next budget time. They took their BP money, and I see yesterday I was online and saw where the city of St. Joe got a little bit, about half a million, somewhere along in there. I think I'm right on that. Is that correct? Around $500,000. Bluff County got a big old fat zero, so we don't have a golden egg to operate on. We may have to go in this to try to drop this down, but we go into this reserve. That'd be the best thing.
So we can research, all of us can research and come up with These numbers did not include the pay raise for our employees either, did it, Don?
No, at this point in time, no. That's one of the things too. And we're still looking at these numbers. The board did determine to move Hurricane Tax Collector somewhere. We haven't determined yet where, whether substation or over to the old health department building. But that's some savings there. For instance, just an electric bill, $18,000 a year. So you can hit $20,000 plus savings, $25,000 savings, just by moving out of that building and hopefully renting or leasing that building out to someone. So that's another number we can bring to you later too, including landfill numbers that Joe can help out with, Houston can help out with the dry run numbers and the ambulance fees. So
All those need to be determined.
Okay.
if we can say it about a week down the road,
Come back. Okay.
As we do not.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you got till October the 1st.
October,
August.
August.
I mean, August the 1st.
It's July the 23rd now.
Yeah, I know, we got over a week. There's 31 days. We got over a week. The next meeting that we have,
logically, I think the first, I think we rehire to the third or fourth.
It's on the
But
weekend.
the first would be the when we need to shoot for.
I think we can get to that point.
Let's put the fine pencil to it. The next time we sit down, Mr. Butler, let's have it, the numbers. Bring your lunch. What we can get. Well, we won't need it. And Mr. Butler will do his work with the budget committee and we'll have the numbers.
Guys, we don't need to mess with our reserve.
And we don't.
We don't need to mess with our reserve. It don't take but one little hurricane to come through. We do not need to mess with our reserves.
We don't need to mess with raising a mill of property tax either. But we got to figure it out.
Mr. Chairman?
Let's see what we have to come up with Mr. Butler's numbers at the next board meeting, then we'll know what direction we need to go with.
In the meantime, it would be of some value. If we move to one building or another building, that may be a difference in if we got to put a fire alarm system in or not. Make a difference in what we got to do.
Ms. Lynn?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do have one change that I need to see if I can get the board to vote on. I was not given numbers until yesterday for the University of Florida Extension Service. They have a pay plan for their employees, and we are contractually bound to pay portions of that. And that increase for that office for next year that's not included in the budget now is $2,489. I need to get the board to agree to that pay raise.
That's not gonna break us. Second. $2,000 not gonna help
Second by
either way.
Mr. Michael Moore. Do I have any opposed? No opposed, motion carries 5-0. That's it, Ms. Lynn?
Yes, sir.
Let's go home.
Butler.
That's it.
Ms. Becky?
That's all I have. I think that we might want to hold off on the DRA until we, because, I mean, the more you cut, the more that's going to increase for a cut for you as well.
Do we have anything from the audience? Nothing from the audience. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? Got a motion by Mr. Yeager, second by Mr. Mike Daniel.